Hi everyone, welcome to SAMO, a program which invites experts to talk about their area of expertise. This week we are delighted to have Antony Reed to explain how we can change our health through hypnosis. Antony is a professional hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and if you don't know what NLP is, don't worry, that's my first question. He's also the founder of Brain Spanking U. He combines hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, and a soft, relaxing voice to guide you into a comfortable trance state where you're open to receive change, healing, and strength. Antony's client base spans 5 continents and has included medical doctors, high-level executives, high-performance athletes, and entrepreneurs. He is a member of the American International Association of Hypnosis. So welcome to our show, Antony. It's fantastic to have you with us.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here. Thank you for allowing me to come on and have this opportunity with you.
Now, the first question I have to ask you is, what is NLP?
NLP is a technology called neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro meaning the mind, linguistic as language, programming as in, well, somewhat similar to hypnosis. It's programming. It's how your brain is wired. It was developed back in the early 70s by John Grinder and, oh my goodness, he's going to hate me, by a couple of blokes here in the U.S.
Yes.
Who developed this technology to basically, in a way, hack human performance. They started off, and if anybody is, and I'm sure your audience is familiar with Tony Robbins, who he started off in NLP. His work is very, very heavily NLP based when it comes to, you know, what the physical changes of just standing up with your shoulders back and your head high and speaking loud, or by finding what people are doing that's getting good benefit in their lives. Seeing the patterns there, mimicking that pattern, and making that work for you as well. So it's pretty much, you know, if anybody excels at something out there, if you can ask them specific questions to break it down in very specific ways and different steps and how they're thinking at the time that they're doing their magnificent feats or what have you, you can then teach that to other people who can then go on to do the same. Whether that's you know, sharpshooting, which is what they started with, going into their, you know, taken on by the U.S. Army to say, you know, hey, how can we better our sharpshooting, because it's like an 8-week thing and people only get a little bit better, and most people, you know, fail. Well, they were able to get that down to like 3 days and have an 80% better than what it was, I believe. Right. I'm not the historian in NLP, but that's just a little bit of the background. However, one of the things that it's heavily used for is like phobia cures, where you can take someone in 10 to 20 minutes, completely remove their phobia by just bringing them through, you know, some mental gymnastics.
Yes.
Based on how they see, hear, smell, taste, and whatever with their environment, and how their feelings are related to that. And if any of you are familiar with like checking out someone where somebody's looking, and does that mean that they're lying or not? You know, that a lot of that comes from NLP as well. So we like to pretty much the same as a computer, like let's say Windows would create a graphical user interface for you to click on something and move it over, and then it deletes that. You can do somewhat of the same stuff using your mind when, like if I was to say, you know, think of a time when you had a bad experience with, you know, Joe Blow, and you would think of Joe Blow. You would actually probably, if you're more of a visual person, you're going to see him over in some area of your mind, he might be standing close to you or something. But when you're visualizing it, you'll visualize them somewhat close. We would ask, are they blurry? Is it in color? All these things. And you can then, if it's a blurry picture, if it is like in the first person, or are you looking at it from a third person, like you're seeing yourself in that person, or are you in your own body looking at them in this memory that you have? If you want the memory to become brighter and you want that feeling, if it's a good thing and you want to put more of that into your life, you can actually, say, well, go ahead and boost the color on that. Go ahead and bring them into a crisper focus. Have them come closer to you so it's bigger, so the picture is bigger. Can you hear them? Try to hear them more clearly. If it's mumbled, try to hear it better. But you work with those are called submodalities, where, how is it looking? How does it sound? All that. Those are all the different, graphical units in a graphical user interface that you can move around and change the way you think. You can take something you're afraid of and turn it around and not be afraid of it. You can take food that you hate and food that you like, and then where you see that food that you hate, if you have ice cream, you don't want the ice cream because you're on a diet, but you love ice cream. But here's this, I hate liver and I can't stand it and it smells gross and it's really big in my face and it's on this side when I think about it. But the ice cream's on this side, it's a little bit higher, it's really vibrant. Well, then you take the color away from it and you just mentally move it over to the same place where you have the liver, and all of a sudden you hate ice cream. It just makes you sick. You just really don't want it.
I think you're going to say you start loving liver.
No, the opposite. Now, if you took the liver and put it over there, which you might want to do because it might be good for you, I don't know. But anyway, that might have the opposite effect for you.
Right.
So it's a very fascinating stuff, but it taps directly into the subconscious mind and how it actually operates in the world. So, and it operates through, sight, sound, taste, touch, and the rest.
It's absolutely riveting what you're explaining to us. How did you get first involved in this? What drew your interest? What grabbed you and made you decide this is my life's interest? I want to dedicate time and effort learning hypnosis, learning about the procedures.
I can actually directly, and it wasn't until just a few years back that I really dove into that. But my path started when I was, it didn't start when I was born, but it basically started when I was born. About 2 weeks after I was born, my mother.
Earlier than that.
Well, true. This isn't the direct part, but anyway, when I was born, about 2 weeks after I was born, my mother had a psychotic breakdown. So and ever since then, every year to 2 years, she's had these breakdowns. And if you're a little child who, is taken away from your mother, and you see and you grow up that way, I mean, it's normal to me. But at the same time, it's you need to find whatever you can to find out how to fix that. Basically, I came down to nutrition later on in my life. That's where I was helping my mother to begin with, was, with niacin supplementation, vitamin C, more magnesium and such, and B vitamins, and making sure she had good food and not, something out of a can. Because, she was very, very poor. So we didn't eat very well at the beginning.
Right.
But after years of being, in a mental ward, and then coming out, and then I had my mother back for a little while, but I could see the progression, and you grow up like that, and you start to, okay, something's going on here. right now, okay, I see it right now. And you can see that there's patterns there that, you know, someone in you know, this psychiatrists aren't there in the house when these things happen. We are there in the house. We can see what's going on. And it's heartbreaking. The one time that I can remember the most, and it freaks me out the most, is when I was a young child, and, you know, maybe 6, something like that, 5 or 6. And I'm in the kitchen, and my mother is starting to freak out. I can tell that, you know, something's not right, but I don't understand it when I was a child. All I can see is it's not my mother. And she starts screaming at the refrigerator, and up on top of the refrigerator is like a aerosol can of some kind. Maybe it was, who knows what it was, but it was going bad, and like the top would like spurt every now and then. And she's, you know, in this, you know, that it's possessed by the devil, and she's screaming, you know, devil get out, devil get out. And I'm just like, yeah, get out, you know, and I'm just going along with it because this is my mom. She must know what's going on. And the next thing I remember is people are coming into the house, tearing me out of my mother's arms and putting her on a gurney to leave. And that's how I felt like I lost my mother. And since that point, it's like, you know, when you focus on something, you see it everywhere. So when I'm focusing on why is this happening? What's going on with my mother? I start to see the patterns. You know, you start to see things. You start to see different patterns that happen each time this happens. You know, oh, she stops eating properly and doesn't sleep. Yeah. Well, that's a big issue. You know, but that's not seen. It's just, well, let's get you on more medication. Yeah. So that's what started getting me really to just like put all of my energy into focusing on mental health and how to reverse that. What can we do? Because there's got to be something. It doesn't happen for nothing. It's not just a fluke. Something happens. So that led me later in life to jump into nutrition and to find out what was going on. And then I was like, Mom, you know, and take this. And if anybody else is like a coach or somebody that's in profession, you know that your family doesn't listen to you. To your family, you're that snot-nosed kid. You know, you're not someone who knows what they're talking about. But if you're possessed by the need to know information on a specific topic, you will know more than 99% of the people out there. Yeah. If you jump into it and you really, you know, are possessed by that. And it was a possession. I needed to know all I could. Okay. And that's how it progressed into also me being, you know, having to, I developed heart issues. Just before my 5-year-old son was born. I couldn't get up a flight of stairs without being completely winded. I would put my hands up, and while I have big veins on my hands, right. But as my left hand starts to go numb and tingle, my right hand still has big veins. My left hand collapses. I'm like, okay, I have some blockage. There's something going on. So I go to a doctor. I'm trying to figure this out. The doctor's kind of like, well, you're too young, I think. I think this is just anxiety. And I'm like, well, doc, I want some tests here. I want a blood panel. I want something, because I think also I want a magnesium test as well. Yeah. So we take tests. We take a magnesium test, and I'm like critically low on magnesium, which you know, you don't want anything to happen or you're probably dead. Gosh. So I got my health back up that way. I had severe inflammation throughout my entire body. So I actually started jumping online. I fired that doctor because if a doctor won't really listen to you and isn't taking into account everything you say, personally, I think you should fire him. I'm going to fire him, but I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, this is kind of off the hypnosis topic, but we're getting there. So I had to find out on my own what to do. So here I am going online. I hear little bits about Linus Pauling. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll check that out. So I start digging into this, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. The argument for high doses of vitamin C and lysine for reversing heart damage and unblocking the arteries is so huge. The amount of research out there, the amount of stuff, and now Dr. Matthias Rath out of Austria is taking up his work now. Anyway, I started out taking about 40 grams of vitamin C every day in divided doses. About 10 times a day, I would take 2 grams of vitamin C, 1 gram of lysine, and then a couple of times a day, like 100 to 200 milligrams of niacin. And at first it was like, okay, if anybody who takes high dose vitamin C will know that if you need more, your body will absorb more. If you don't need it, you're running to the bathroom after like a couple of grams. So most people can't make it over 10 grams. That's about their limit for when they get disaster pants and have to go. But 40 grams and not getting to bowel tolerance levels just says something is going on. So I took that over the next like year and a half.
Right.
I still take it in high doses, but not to the 40 gram amount. Now I actually can reach bowel tolerance at 15 to 20. So I've dropped down by half. And I have no issues. I get a little angina now and then. And when I do, I know I haven't been doing it enough.
Okay. So
there's still issues going on. But that also led me to go, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. Now I'm I start helping people with health. I'm helping them with health, and I'm like, they're the clients that I've had, it like all comes down to specific blocks. That's like, okay, well, they're always saying the same things. I'm sick. Well, don't say you're sick unless you want to stay that way. From everything that I've ever learned, it's like, well, you have to say, I'm on my way to being healthy, or I'm on the journey to health. I'm not sick, or this isn't my disease. It's mine. There are things that are going on here with language. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting. So I started, diving into language and health and what's going on with that. I'm getting around to it. I'm getting back. So then I started diving into that. Well, that brought me to neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And I'm like, well, this is really wild. I'm just fascinated with this. So it's like, just like when you buy a car, you start looking around and it's like, okay, well, I got this, here's the car I got. Like I got an Audi, whatever they are, A4 or something. Maybe that's what, you get an Audi A4. And it's like, all of a sudden you see them everywhere. Right?
It's like when women buy a dress and then they see what else.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, everybody's got that dress. It's like, yeah, it's the exact same thing. Your the reticular activation. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But when you focus on something, your brain will automatically get rid of everything else, so that it can hone in on what you want. And that's exactly, that's exactly what you're trying to do with hypnosis. That's exactly what you're trying to do with NLP. That's exactly what you're trying to do with meditation. And it's exactly what you try to do when you're trying to manifest something into your life, out in the universe or out wherever you want to call it. You put it out there and you say, this is what I want. You put in your standing order, and the chances of it coming to you are just astronomical. But you have to put it out there. But if you're continually putting out, I don't want to be sick, well, you're not putting out being healthy. You're putting out being sick, because that's where your focus is. That's where you're keyed into, is the sickness, not onto the health. And so that brought me into going, it's all in the mind. This stuff, so much of it is all about, and not everything. There's, what you're putting in has a lot to do with it. How much sleep you're getting has a lot to do with it. Mm. If you're not sleeping properly, I can't help you, except to maybe try to get you to sleep a little better. If you're not eating well, I can't help you except to try to get you to eat a little bit better. You need all the stuff that your body needs to repair itself and to rebuild. You need all the building blocks. But you need to really put your mind into where you want to be, not where you don't want to be. And that's where hypnosis comes in. That's where NLP comes in. And so I just went all in, and it's been an amazing ride.
It's an amazing story.
It's a long one. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's
back to it though.
It's been riveting. The NLP, is it like an auto-suggestion?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Is it like an auto-suggestion where you sort of sit back and you listen to positive
affirmations and such?
Yes.
That can fall in the same realm.
Oh, okay.
It's not really the same. It is, and I also do stuff with affirmations as well, and I've got a big thing to share with people who do affirmations as to a right way and a wrong way to do affirmations. If you're doing it yourself, if you're reciting it, you always want to say I am statements. I am happy, I am prosperous, I am, I bring abundance into my life. Mm. However, if you're listening to an audio where someone else in somebody else's voice is saying affirmations, you don't want to hear about this guy who he's talking about himself and he's saying, I am wealthy, I am healthy. Your subconscious is not stupid, and it knows that's not you.
That's right.
But that's all I find anywhere is like, and I'm like, look, I know this isn't popular. I know nobody is searching for you are statements, but that's all I'm going to bring out there because that's the only thing that works. So if you're looking for I am statements out there and you come across my channel, go ahead and move on, but I hope you'll give it a shot to do you are statements instead. Because most people don't get, there's so many people who are having issues because they do need something from the outside that isn't telling them how stupid they are, how worthless they are. They need people we're social beings, so we need to hear from the outside, hey, you're worthwhile. You're vibrant. I like you. Things that are like talking to you from an outside perspective. A lot of people, that's what they're missing.
A lot of people that will be watching this video now will be wondering, I wonder if it works for me. I wonder if it works for everybody. And if not, what proportion of the population?
I don't know. It also depends on where you're at. Especially now when it comes to hypnosis, and here's where a lot of people have an issue. They're like, I've tried to be hypnotized. I'm just a bad hypnotic subject. That's not true. Everyone on earth can be and has been and is being hypnotized on a daily basis. They just don't realize it. For one, you're not going to feel any, it's not like a feeling of hypnosis. So you're not going to feel you're in hypnosis. However, when you're in a movie and you're watching this movie and it's a wonderful movie and you're just really into it and you start crying, those aren't real people up there. Those are actors. You're not in a real situation, but you certainly feel like you are. You are in, that is a state of hypnosis. That is a state of trance of some kind or another. And there's many different states of trance. There's many different hypnosis. When you're driving home from work and you've been driving that same route forever and your mind just wanders off and all of a sudden it's like, well, how did I get home? That's a state of hypnosis. Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
It's I never really realised that. Is there, when you see on TV people being hypnotised on stage and they're doing silly things for entertainment,
Sure.
chickens and that, is that real hypnosis, or is it, or do they pick people that are very easy to be, to be taken under hypnosis?
Sure. Both. It's it is real. It is real hypnosis.
Okay.
Every now and then you'll get somebody up there who kind of fake their way up there, but the thing is that they wanted to be there. I mean, mainly, the hypnotist up there, that's stage hypnosis. So that's not what, that's not to be confused with hypnotherapy, which they're both states of hypnosis. They're just, the one, like if I do a stage hypnotist, what a stage hypnotist does. First, I'd be in front of a large audience. Right. We'd probably do some kind of test and have everybody, join in to see how things go. And you can tell the, people who the suggestions work better on. So there's that. Plus, you ask who would like to join the fun experience of doing this on stage. And those people who are willing were willing and wanting to participate. They want it. So just doing that, they're already saying, hey, I'm a good subject. Plus, if they do that, plus you also see out there when you're doing the tests that they're highly suggestible. Those are the ones you pick and you bring them up on stage. So okay. You're stacking the deck already. It's part of the gig. Okay. The hypnosis itself is true hypnosis. Okay. Even people see rapid inductions where somebody like shakes somebody's hand and then they fall, sleep. Though they already have an expectation that's going to happen. They already set that expectation up with the person. I think there are legality things when it comes. You can't just walk up to people on the street who aren't aware and just like, pull on their hand and jerk their neck down and say, sleep, It might work because there's something to that, but I wouldn't advise doing that.
We've had a question come in from Amber Broden. She's asking about anaphylaxis, which is an allergic reaction, a severe allergic reaction.
Sure.
Have you worked with anyone that's had anaphylaxis to multiple foods? And if so, what was the outcome?
To multiple foods?
Or even, more like peanuts or something?
I have not. I haven't. That's not, I mainly dealt with people who want to up their game that are already on a healthy path, but they lacked something, or they were trying to get on a healthy path, but not usually someone who was like really, I would suggest that they first go see someone who can help them on a deeper level than I can.
Okay.
I would love to try to help people. I want to do this for a long time. Yes. And I don't want to, and I've come pretty close a few times to helping people so much that I'm brushing the edge of being arrested. So I don't want to do that. I like helping people too much, so I want to keep being able to do it. And, you know, there's things that I can and can't do.
Right.
So,
okay. Are there any dangers in hypnosis? Can things go wrong while you're under? Or let's say that the hypnotist is inexperienced and doesn't know how to lead things through. Can undesirable things be stirred up from the past, or things change in
yeah.
life can be changed?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to do that. Now, if you're working with someone with like maybe PTSD,
Right.
you want to be careful what you're doing in your session. I mean, if you're if once I, you know, bring someone through you know, if I get someone down into a hypnotic state and then I start putting in suggestions to have them kind of go back and relive this stuff, not a good idea. They're already reliving it, and in hypnosis, it's just going to be like reliving it on crack. So you don't want that. You can really do damage when you do that. So you want to be careful with what your suggestions are actually doing, where you're bringing someone. You would usually either come about it in a different way, not head on. You also want to be careful if one of the other things to watch out for, especially, you know, if someone isn't as experienced, is you first want to bring someone through what they can expect. You want to make sure that they're sitting or lying down and they're not, you know, going to fall over and hurt themselves. That's probably the most dangerous part about hypnosis, is the possibility, depending, you know, do you have an armchair or is it armless on the sides? And, you know, if it's armless, you may want to have them kind of lean back a little bit and put their hands in their laps so that they won't, you know, and just their head back so that they won't fall to the side. You want to be sure of these things, because, you know, some people go under and they're under. I mean, they will fall over unless you're careful. You should be there to make sure. But as far as, you know, dangers, like, you know, can you get stuck in hypnosis? Like, what is that movie, Office Space, where the guy gets hypnotized and then his hypnotherapist croaks of a heart attack and falls over.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in hypnosis. You know, that doesn't happen. Okay. It's not like that.
I was going to ask that one, actually. not specifically for that film, but
yeah, but that was a hilarious film. So anyway,
well, it would have been right. You would have found it extremely funny because it's your field, I guess. You have a better understanding.
That's good stuff.
Have you ever hypnotized animals?
Probably, but not knowing it. I mean, if you're petting your dog, you most likely have gotten them into a hypnotic state at some point. But you know, it's what level. I mean, there's so many different levels of hypnosis, you know. So a lot of what I do is I do sleep hypnosis recordings. So a lot of what I do is, you know, as you're going to bed, you listen to hypnosis. Okay. And suggestions are while you're going into sleep. So you're kind of in that alpha to theta before you really get down into delta. And I know you know about that stuff. So, but you know, just kind of gently getting you in there and then sending you off at the end into a nice revitalizing sleep where you'll wake up feeling, you know, awesome and ready and just vibrant and happy. So.
Right. Okay. For people that come to you that are hypnotized on a bench, what does it feel to them? Does it just feel like they're falling asleep? as you take them under?
No, not it's not really. I mean they use sleep a lot when they're talking about hypnosis. When somebody talks about hypnosis, you say sleep, or you're going into a deep sleep. We say that. It's not really sleep. It's not. It's very specific and not sleep. You are very awake, and at the same time you're not awake. You're consciously unconscious.
Okay.
It's you don't feel hypnosis, but you're less capable of mentally blocking yourself from, and just going along with it. So most of hypnosis is just, like a hypnotist has no special powers over you whatsoever. They have nothing. They're just a guide to help you get into a state, but it's your responsibility to get into the state. We can't make anyone get into the state.
Right. I was going to ask you, can you induce a hypnosis state in a person that does not want to be in that state?
No, if you don't want to be in the state, you're not going to be in the state.
Okay.
There are people who, and if you're under hypnosis, nobody can make you do anything that's against what you believe fundamentally as being right. So
Okay.
it's not, somebody can't get you into hypnosis and say, go to China and take out John. That just can't happen. They'll probably kind of get out of it and go, what? They're quite often, once you're in that state, and you get out, there may be portions that are kind of foggy. You don't really remember it very well.
Right.
But it's not like a specific feeling that I'm in hypnosis now,
I wish you found a different example.
Well, because if you're thinking, oh, this is what hypnosis is, then you're not hypnotized.
Oh,
because that's the analytical mind getting in the way.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue. And there are ways to get past that being analytical, where you can get even the most analytical people into a hypnotic state by having them do something else, not the big relax, that everybody knows hypnosis now, relax and breathe and and everything, and just float into deep sleep and everything like that. Quite often it's like, okay, I want you to take your hands and I want you to do this as fast as you can. And what you're trying to do, and then you tell them, now flip it the other way. Okay, now the other way. And now, do that and bob your head back. Anything you can do to overstimulate them to where they just shut off.
Really? Wow.
And like Tony Robbins, if you go to a Tony Robbins thing, and I haven't been to one, I'd love to go to one at some point, but that's just way too extroverted for me and way too many people. So, but he hypnotizes people in every one of those. All those people in the crowds that are screaming and all just in this big euphoric, it's a crowd hypnosis of like on a higher level, not a theta, not an alpha. It's on, what level is that? But he gets them into a higher state hypnosis. It's powerful stuff, just like, being in a relaxed state of hypnosis is powerful.
It sounds scary. Like when we're coming into elections in America, and if politicians also have this skill, and some of them do have innate ability to rouse up a crowd, is that a form of hypnosis?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Oh, they know their stuff. They know what they're doing. They're, I'm sure they've got coaches that teach them how to do that.
Now that's scary.
And like any technology, NLP and hypnosis is a technology. It can be used for good. It can be used for evil, depending on what you want. You can convince people of what you want, but it's not. But most people aren't like that, and that's what I really want to get to a lot of people. It's like, this stuff isn't, you don't have to worry about this stuff. People aren't out to get you. Most people in the world, just want to help, or they're like, meh, one of the two. But there's then there's the other people who really like to do people harm, and you got to watch out for them. But if you're a really good person, I think that's where you have a hard time seeing, telling the difference between that person who really likes to do harm and the regular person, because you just can't fathom being that way. So you can't really see it very well.
The problem, though, of course, Anthony, is people that cause harm tend to go up the ladder faster. And
they seem to want that power.
Yes, precisely.
Yes.
And they will stop at nothing. And once they have it, then they're, through extension of the power, have influence over more people.
Yep. And they do it by trickery.
And that's
when they do it, they're going to do it by trickery. They're not going to do it by force, because if you do it by force, then people tend to rise up after you after a while. If you do it by trickery, you keep having the people think that all is peachy, and or hey, I'm for you as I'm doing all this stuff that goes exactly against what I just told you I'm going to do. But you believe me, so you're not going to look back at me.
Yeah.
But I've just set up all the cards against you. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So it's kind of like a mind control. Even when someone's out of the hypnosis state, the influence is still there. Things that were ideas, subliminal messages, perhaps. Plans.
Yeah, and people are giving themselves subliminal messages all throughout their day, just by the way that they're thinking, the voices that they're telling themselves, the things that they're... A lot of people have issues with, negative self-talk, as a lot of people know, where they're actually hearing the voice. It's not like they're crazy. A decent amount of people, there's many people that are way more visual. They'll see different things. There's a lot of people that hear things. They hear, you're worthless. You're whatever. If you're out there and you have a voice like this that keeps telling you, what you're not, or you can't make it, or, don't even try, that kind of a thing. Try this. If you hear it, whatever, try to really listen and just see what kind of voice it is. Is it a voice that you recognize of somebody that you know? Is it clear? Is it on this side or is it on this side? Change the voice. If it's really close to you, try moving it away. Try giving it a different voice. Like make it sound like Mickey Mouse or something. I'm serious. Make it sound different, and you can't take it seriously. Oh, you're worthless. That just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And if you do that enough, your subconscious kind of gets the joke, and your subconscious rewrites how it hears that voice. And your subconscious, if you rewrite how you see things, it's trying to always do what's in your best interest. So if you think that the programs you're running, because we're all our decisions, everything is just a program that we happen to keep running, and we're really good at that program, and that's how our subconscious knows to help us out of a sticky situation or what have you. If you see this tendency of going in a bad direction or making a bad decision, yes. If you can look at that bad decision or that tendency and say, well, how is this my subconscious trying to help me in some way? How is it trying to benefit me by doing this thing? And if you can find the pattern where it's like, hey, we're just trying to make it so that, you aren't hurt by this other thing. Then if you can mentally accept that as, I understand that this is a way that is trying to help me and benefit me in this way, but I'm going to choose not to do that anymore because there's a better way. And if you just kind of keep massaging that, your subconscious is working on your behalf, making all the decisions for you. If you think you're making the decisions, you're not. It's your subconscious that's making the decisions. So you have to be, you can't force your subconscious into making different decisions. You have to work with it like it's a friend, and you're just, talking it out. And that makes a huge difference. If somebody can just grab that one little nugget and try to use that to their benefit.
I'm going to throw a curveball. I'm going to ask, the second question I'm going to ask Anthony is to tell us of some case histories that will be interesting to talk about without obviously giving names, but to give you time to stew that over in the back of your mind. I was going to also ask you, and I will ask you, what sort of props do you use in your hypnosis? Do you have like like they have in the movies?
No. I don't use props or anything. Most all of my hypnosis is recorded hypnosis. I don't do a lot of one-on-one hypnosis. Okay. I do more NLP work with someone.
Yes.
And that's a very interesting topic. Hypnosis is just more straightforward. I just do it on my YouTube channel, Brain Spanking U. It's all free. If you need anything, just you can go ahead and I've got tons of topics there to help in whatever you need. But there was a couple of times. There's one. I get a lot of interesting comments back from mine as well on people who have I do have ones on like breaking yourself mental your mental blocks about getting pregnant. And just the other day I got a comment on there, it worked. I'm like, yes. That I just put that one out a few weeks ago, and I was just like, well, I hope someone comes back with some stuff on here, because it wasn't one that a lot of people would go out and find, especially because it's kind of new, and I'm not huge out there, so there's not many people that are gonna come across it. But hey, if it works for one person's, it's gonna work from others, and they're just not gonna comment. But I've got some out there for helping people with in the LGBTQ community with self-acceptance, because quite often it's an issue where somebody I want to be accepted, and it's such a big painful thing.
What's
like, well,
LGBTQ? What is
lesbian, bi, gay, queer, plus.
Okay.
But if somebody's going through an issue and they don't, and they're probably severely depressed, they don't know how to get forward, they don't know what to do. And they need acceptance, especially in this social media world. I need to be accepted. I need acceptance. But really, it's self-acceptance that they need. So this is trying to switch that around a little bit and say, it's really about you accepting yourself. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. If you accept yourself and you're comfortable with yourself and you love yourself, that's enough. And I got some really good, comments back on that, where people are just like, I've been, in the closet and hating myself for years. And I've just come out, and I thank you, so much for helping me. I don't feel like my future is dark, It's like, wow. That's enough. I did it all for something.
Yes. That must have sent chills down your spine when you read that one. Imagine
that's the best. That's just the best thing ever. So
you've done some good things then. It's amazing to hear.
People stopping smoking, because that's the one that that tends to get the most people want to quit smoking, and that's something that everybody who's a smoker, that's their biggest struggle. That's how I got, that's the thing that really got me to go all in on hypnosis, because I'm like, you know what? I listened to a Tony Robbins thing. I was smoking. This was, years back.
Yes.
Smoking.
Yes.
Knowing that I needed to quit. I've tried to quit millions of times, not millions, but you know what I mean. Trying to quit. Every time it's like, it's like the dread of just the thought of trying to get to that space, and then all the worry of the withdrawals and the feelings of not smoking and feeling like your best friend, you just left your best friend and you got this, this big empty space and all that. And I was listening actually to a Tony Robbins thing on making a commitment and then following through with massive action. And I was like, I wasn't even at the time just thinking, I'm trying to listen to this to quit smoking.
Yes.
That wasn't even on my mind at the time. I'm just like, I wonder if that would work with smoking.
Yes.
And so after listening to it, I was just so stoked. I just decided, you know what? This is going to be about smoking today. I said, that's it. I commit. I'm never going to do it again. There is no way around it. There is no, I'm going to try it. Because that's the big thing. Maybe I'm going to try to quit smoking. No, if you try, you fail. You're trying just means I'm planning on failing.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, no, I'm going to commit. It's going to happen. And then as soon as you make that commitment, you have to take massive action right then.
Yes.
And so I went, okay, I'm going to take the best massive action I can think of. And I went and looked up, free hypnosis for quitting smoking, and listened to it. And it was like, that was that. And that was it. And then I couldn't believe it. I had no feeling of loss, no dread, no withdrawals, and I still haven't.
Wow.
Nothing. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I did it for nail biting. I've been biting my nails since I can remember. I don't even remember when I didn't used to bite my nails.
Yeah.
And I stopped biting my nails.
Good gracious.
And it was just like, okay, I found something that's really works and it really gets to the heart of the issues.
Mm.
I said, all the issues that people have that they're afraid of are just like smoking.
Yes.
It's the same thing. You're trying to stay away from the pain, but it's because you're seeing something as pain. It's like change is pain, and pain is change. So if you take away the pain of that change and transform it into something that you're looking forward into what you want, as you're moving away from what you don't want, then it's flipped and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
If someone didn't have the thought of smoking, they just happened to be a smoker and they came to see you, just putting it out there, Antony, and then you
Sure.
put them in a hypnotized state, can you make them, can you stop their desire to have cigarettes?
And they're not coming to me for that.
Yes,
right?
Right.
But I slipped that in. Is that what you mean?
As a freebie.
Depending on how I put it, it may kind of change some of their thought processes on it, but
Yes.
they're still, if they want to do it and they haven't made the commitment, it isn't going to happen.
Okay.
You can't change somebody's mind with hypnosis. If somebody came to me because, well, I've got this issue, I'm a smoker, let's say, because that's just easy.
Yeah.
I'm a smoker, and my wife got this card that said, you're a hypnotist, and she's making me come to you to stop smoking. I can't make them quit smoking. They don't want to.
Right.
That's it. You can't make somebody do something that they don't want to or they're not ready for.
Right.
They have to prep themselves for that.
Your experience with the stopping smoking and your nail biting, that was instantaneous for both instances, wasn't it? Is it
Yes.
the same? Is it
Now,
sorry?
It is instantaneous, kind of. I mean, it's not like, all of a sudden at a certain point in the hypnosis, boom, the switch is flipped.
Okay.
that's the process that tries to reprogram your brain. Now it can stick for a while, but like with hypnosis, there's something with repetition and creating new neurons.
Okay.
So, you know, the whole neuroplasticity comes into play when you're talking about hypnosis. And this is why when it comes to, I mean, there's plenty of people out there who say, I can have you quit smoking in one session. And if you start smoking again, you know, come back to me and it'll be free. We'll do it again. You know, we'll do it again.
Okay. Okay.
And that's great. But I'd much rather have somebody quit and not have to come back. And for that, I mean, everything is repetition. You know, every habit you have is a repetition. You've been doing it your entire life. It's not like, you know, it's like if I've been eating bad my entire life, I don't just, you know, all of a sudden I pick up a piece of lettuce and eat it and I'm healthy now, you know? The one thing that, I mean, is not quite to that extent when it comes to hypnosis.
Yes.
Now, yes, I mean, you can make a huge change in someone right after the session, you know, and they might not even realize it until later they find out, I don't even want it. You know, I don't even want one. I'm not even, one guy actually commented back to me. He said, a few months ago, I went on and I went through your hypnosis to quit smoking. And he said, I didn't feel any different. And in the morning, I reached over and realized I really don't want that. And he said it just sounded gross to him. He didn't want anything to do with it. And he said, it's been like months now. I haven't touched one.
You must have slipped.
That's wonderful. Now listen to it again, because I don't want it to just be like, you know, because sometimes, you know, if we have certain patterns built up, those patterns are really deeply grooved, and you really have to set up a new pattern. So that will start a good pattern, but you want to really dig that rut in. So it's like, okay, you listen to this once and now you're a non-smoker. You are a non-smoker. Now listen to it again for the next 21 days. Listen to it every night for the next 21 days, because that's going to build the new the new neural network, the new, you know, neurons that are going to connect to each other for that pattern.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they're like, well, I feel great. See ya. And, you know, and then later on, they, you know, a couple months down the road, they maybe go to the bar with a buddy or something. And then they're at the bar and here's this other pattern that you didn't have in your hypnosis session. You know, I didn't say when you're in the bar, you don't, you know, you're not like, so it's like, you know, you've got to be, I am not a smoker.
Yes. Yes.
And then you've got to have the thing you're going towards, you know, so you make the picture of what they want, how they want to be. And you make a picture of what they really don't want to be anymore. So that moves them forward. Set up the repetition and make that new pattern. And they'll never have to go back to that ever again.
Amazing. You said earlier on about having a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy, getting your sleep. Can you use hypnosis for insomnia? Because it might be a little bit difficult, right? Because you got to be in a restful state for hypnosis, for most people, I guess. But to get into a restful state.
Yeah. Actually, there's some theories now that there's a specific switch that turns something on rather than off, and that's what how we get into hypnosis.
Okay.
And there's a specific time, the same way as like when you go to sleep.
Yes.
When something is actually turned on that pushes down your waking state.
Okay.
Instead of like shutting things off to go to sleep.
Yes.
Quite often, yes. I mean, it's a lot easier to get most people into a hypnotic state by relaxation.
Okay.
By relaxation. Right. I think I got off topic a little.
That's all right. I'll throw you back on again and give you a decent recording after the summer. Insomnia. Can you treat insomnia through hypnosis?
Yes, you can.
Good.
as long as it's something that has to do with the way that you're thinking and like repeating, if you can, if what's keeping you awake is kind of you can't shut off your brain. You've got, just a busy head, either from anxiety or something. You can calm that out. You can calm that out, and you can let people and get somebody onto a pattern of getting into a deep sleep, and to letting go of all those other things. I would also suggest, though, if people are having that, to like maybe practice some gratitude before they go to sleep and when they wake up. But that helps you release a lot. But also don't try to push away the things that you're pushing away. There's so much when it comes to, anxiety and fear. It's mainly future based. Depression is something happened, and anxiety is I'm unsure of the future.
Yes.
Or what's going to happen. I've got unresolved things that are shadows that might be lurking around the corner because I didn't do stuff or because I'm not doing something. So if you're not, there's a lot of that gets taken care of as well. And most of the time, if I do something like, let's say insomnia, if I'm making a recording specifically on insomnia, I may not directly come out and talk about in the subject portion. I may not directly come out and talk about getting to sleep. Sometimes I might talk about the things that doing it in metaphor. Metaphors are so, if anything loves metaphors, it's our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind loves metaphors, and it'll fill in the blanks depending on what they're there for. So if I can make it very vague, but still kind of weave that little bit of story in that makes it seem like, oh, they must be talking about this that I'm having an issue with, or this. Right. And then your subconscious moves that into something that works for you, and it just works. Yeah. You don't have to be direct on everything. Actually, it's quite often more effective if you're not so direct. There's one that I do about bringing out your inner genius.
Yes.
That I put out maybe, I don't know, a few weeks back.
Yes.
Where I use a river as a metaphor.
Yes.
And things that are in, you are a river, and think of so make a picture of what your river is like, and does it flow fast? And they fill in all the blanks, all the questions. Does it flow fast? What are the things like rocks and other things that are blocking your river from flowing smoothly and fast and everything? And then you have them become the river, and then you have them remove those blocks out of the river. And they have already figured out the river means this is all the blocks for my brain to work as best as it can and to flow properly. Mm. It's all about flow. Mm. So they remove that and they flow better.
Now, what of course we're talking about is your internet channel. It's www.brainspanking, that's SPANKING, and then the letter U.com. And I do recommend all our viewers to visit the site. As Antony says, the videos are free to download and to use. We've had many examples given by yourself, Antony, on the use of the on these recordings and how they've helped people overcome habits, overcome issues with their health. It's actually absolutely riveting. We're about to close it. You can probably sense that.
I'd like to say one thing about that. I'm in the process of completely rebuilding the website.
Okay.
If you want to get access to everything right now that I do, just go to YouTube and go to just look up Brain Spanking U. It's a kind of a word play off of brand spanking new. But it's a brand spanking new you.
Okay.
But just go to the YouTube channel instead. Just Brain Spanking U.
Okay.
W Antony Reed. But you don't have to put that. Just put Brain Spanking U. Insert in the search. It should bring you right there. Yeah.
There's hundreds of videos there, which or recordings, which you listen to and you relax and let the magic flow like the river without any obstacle.
Right. And most of them are ones that you listen to when you're about to drift off into sleep. Some of them are up to 8 hours long.
Yes.
But there's a ton of them that are just, during the day, if you just want to do something right then. I've got a lot of that too. It's like anywhere from 11 minutes to a half hour.
You're doing a great service for people, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. It's been just a pleasure and an amazing time.
I normally ask the experts to finish off in one sentence or one or less something positive, but the whole discussion has been positive. So
that's good to hear. But yeah, if I can just leave your audience with one thing that I really want to drive home.
Yes.
Stop trying. That's it. Stop saying I'm going to try something. If you want to do something and you want to do something to improve your life or to just, to change in a way that's beneficial to you, whether it's smoking or, talking bad about people, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, but commit. Just make a commitment. It changes something. It flips that switch to make it from, yeah, it's something that I should do, to this is happening, and there's no way around it. I'm not going to leave any else. It's just this, and that's it.
Somehow I knew I wouldn't be able to stop you throwing in another positive. Because it's the sort of person you are.
I won't apologize for that one.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. It's all very, very good. And
thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing, this talk.
Thank you, John.
And our audience on Facebook and on our online Zoom. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.